we dive deeper.
Hey everybody, we're here for another one. Man, it's been a trip so far. We're only 4 episodes into this, and we had technical difficulties the first time around, user error all 3 times around, and then power outage on the last one with Mr. Jeff. Jeff went off to Bristol, as you all know, and unfortunately, he had to come back early for some family business to take care of, and our hearts go out to him and his family. So, hey, you heard that voice. I want to introduce somebody to you here real quick. Wade Taylor. Wade, how you doing today, bud?
Phenomenal. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you got it. You got it. We're coming to you guys, obviously, from the beautiful city of St. Augustine. Many of you out there are not from the St. Augustine area that'll be watching this, so we wanted to give you a little taste of what St. Augustine looks like while we're chatting with you. Today we're going to be talking about all things
learning all the pressures. I saw you or Jill post something about Boyle's Law one day, and I was like, Amy's like, what's so funny? I'm like, Boyle's Law, I must say it 30 times a week. Pressure, temperature, directly related. That made me smile. I'm like, I told her I was coming today. She goes, y'all have fun nerding out. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk about science. This is amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you're a physicist, right? A physics major.
Played baseball and got a physics major and never knew what to do with it, but basically he can explain the world in theory. Like, I love the Big Bang Theory. There's some really strong nerdism on there, which I greatly magnetize to. So it's fun to be smart, but it's also fun to have fun.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So here's a little ditty I found on the YouTube or the Facebook. I don't have any volume. What happened? Yeah, typical.
This is the beauty of it. Anything that looks polished and fine, it's way too rehearsed. I love the realness. Like, when I shoot videos, I make mistakes. I want to leave them in because they know we're human then.
That's right.
You're sitting here all perfect. Like, that just looks like a made-up world.
Let's see if we can get it over here. Probably not. Wow, that's a bummer.
Gotta love technology when it works.
Well, anyway, Wade, talking about Genesis, heating and air. I understand this is like a family.
This should be our 3rd company. We had a family company. I sold that back in 2016 to the family, started another AC company, sold that to an investor. Now we have this that either we'll sell and retire and travel the world and let Amy dive and have some fun, or turn it over to the kids, kind of trying to get that generational setup.
Fantastic. Yeah, you got to love that when the kids can get involved in what you're passionate about.
It's been cool. Brooks has been helping us over the summer while he's home from baseball, and him and Joby, another baseball boy, played at Pedro. They did 2 systems by themselves while I was running another call. It was great to see 18 and 19-year-old young men like really putting in the work, learning. It was really cool to see. Not everybody's just a slacker sitting on the couch.
That's great. Yeah, it's a different generation. They, well, we won't go into
That's
that.
a nice way to put that.
We love
I'm sure our parents said the same thing about us.
Oh,
I know my parents said the same thing. I don't even get into this conversations.
Parents just don't understand.
That's
Fresh
hilarious.
Prince song. Yeah, speaking of your kids, Neely, she is so much fun. She played lacrosse, obviously, with my daughter Rustin, and that group of girls they were just so much fun. They had me in stitches all the time.
Oh my gosh, you never know what was going to come out of their mouth.
Neely especially had me
on the field, in the hotel rooms, at dinner, like, oh gosh, this is going to be an adventure right here.
Well, I did a lot of the videoing for the team for a couple of years, and some of the outtakes were hilarious. But the best one was, I have one of Neely. She said, "You better not put that in the video." So I put
I
that
would say
section in the
that would
video.
have 100% went in without a doubt. You
No
told me
doubt.
not to, guarantee.
That's how we do our children, isn't it?
Got to build thick skin.
That's funny. So, what does AC have to do with the environment in a hyperbaric center? First of all, I wanted to show you what exactly is AC, and hopefully this is a good representation that I've found. You'll have to critique it for me when we're done here, Wade, and hopefully I can get the thing to work too. Video, preview. There we go. Let's see if we can get it to go.
How air conditioning works. There are 8 main components that play a pivotal role in cooling your home. A thermostat, condenser, compressor, fan, metering device, evaporator, blower, and a filter. The first step begins with setting your thermostat to the desired temperature. This triggers the condenser fan and compressor to turn on. The compressor begins pumping a fluid called a refrigerant throughout the system. This is used because of its low boiling point. Refrigerant constantly changes from a vapor to a liquid in order to move heat from inside your home to the outdoors. It enters the compressor as a low-temperature, low-pressure vapor. After it's compressed, it leaves as a high-temperature, high-pressure vapor. It then travels through the condenser coil, where the vapor condenses into a liquid. The heat it has collected indoors and after compression is released outside. The fan inside the unit helps with this process. The refrigerant leaves the condenser as a medium-temperature, high-pressure liquid, then flows to the metering device. In this case, a thermal expansion valve is used. A pin inside the valve adjusts the flow rate of refrigerant depending on the temperature at the evaporator end, using a sensing bulb. As it flows through the valve, its pressure drops significantly, releasing a low-temperature, low-pressure liquid vapor mix. The lower pressure allows room temperature air to boil the refrigerant. The chilled refrigerant then flows through the evaporator coil.
We dive deeper.
The blower begins circulating air throughout the house. Room temperature air is pulled in through the return duct and passes through the filter to remove particulates. The heat from the air is absorbed into the refrigerant inside the evaporator coil, dispersing chilled air through the supply duct. As the air passes over the coil, the refrigerant is boiled and evaporates back into vapor form. During this process, condensation forms on the outside of the coil and exits through a condensate drain line. The refrigerant returns to the condenser to disperse the collected heat outdoors, and the cycle starts again. Your home is slowly cooled, and the thermostat shuts off the equipment once it senses the desired temperature.
Mathematically correct. That's exactly what happens, but typically the way that I'll explain it to someone is it's a copy of our body. The outdoor unit or the compressor is like your heart. It pumps the blood or the refrigerant through your blood vessels, and you breathe in and out your lungs where you exchange the energy. To me, that's been a really easy way to help people understand that they're like, oh, isn't this some magical device that's literally a copy of our body?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I hadn't heard that before. So we have to maintain proper temperatures in our facilities. for several reasons. So AC, obviously, first of all, for temperature, everybody thinks about comfortable temperature. And with our chambers generate heat. We've got electrical equipment in here, but then the actual pressurization, as you know, when you pressurize a gas, it heats up. So when that happens, the patient, if we don't control the temperature in the room adequately, then they can become very uncomfortable. And with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, a lot of our chronic conditions, our patients have to come back daily for an extended period of time. And so we want to do everything we can to make it, keep them as compliant as possible with their treatment, do everything we can to keep them comfortable. So you'll notice here in this facility, we have a vent right above the chambers so that it blows cool air onto the chambers. We have double returns so that we're continually exchanging that cool air with fresh cool air. And that helps mitigate a little bit of that. They're gonna feel the warmth no matter what. But there is a big difference between no AC blowing on those chambers and having AC blow on those chambers.
Do you have to have humidity requirements in here, or is it just temperature?
We do, yeah. I was going to get into the humidity part of it as well. But temperature, when the patient comes in, we keep it pretty cool in here. They're going to be wearing a 100% cotton gown, and then they have a blanket that's with them if they get too cool. But we don't want to. What we don't want to do is have the room warm and then stick them in a chamber and heat them up further. I would rather have them be a little chilly while they're getting ready to go in, because they're gonna get nice and cozy in a minute.
Baking them while they'll heal, that'd be great.
Right.
A little heat therapy in there.
And then, of course, when we release the pressure from the chamber, it cools off, so they have a blanket they can cover up with. So yeah, that's the temperature is very important. You touched on humidity, and humidity is as important. So we're going to take a look at humidity.
We dive deeper.
Amount of water vapor present in the air. In simple words, humidity means how much moisture or water is in the air. When the humidity is high, the air feels wet, sticky, and uncomfortable. When the humidity is low, the air feels dry. Humidity is usually measured using a device called a hygrometer. It is an important part of weather and climate. For example, the humidity was very high during the summer. This means there was a lot of moisture in the air. High humidity can make the temperature feel hotter than it actually is. Here are more example sentences. Humidity affects the weather and climate. Low humidity makes the air feel dry. High humidity can make people sweat more. In simple terms, humidity is the amount of moisture in the air. Easy way to remember. Humidity means water vapor in the air.
Woohoo.
Love it.
Pretty simple, right?
Definitely a big deal in Florida.
Yes. Humidity in our environment, for several reasons. Again, patient comfort being very important, but patient safety as well. The humidity, so the medical regulators, if you will, they put out requirements for medical facilities in what humidity levels can be in certain medical environments, especially where anesthesia is being used. And then we have our National Fire Protection Association guidelines that touch on it as well. So the sweet spot is between 40 and 60. Is that how it is in the home?
That's what the International Air Quality Association recommends. 40 and 60%. Typically 50 and 50. Makes everything nice. Vacation.
So
That's pretty strong.
49.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
So yeah, we're like right dead in the sweet spot. the Undersea and Hyperbaric Medical Society recommends 50%. But yeah, between 40 and 60. When you get below 40, the air gets too dry, and you start to build static electricity a lot easier. Is that what happens in the home as well?
Think about when you turn your heat on in the winter, how many times you zap or shock yourself. Like, I'm not a heat fan. Well, my wife rarely turns the heat on, so it'll get really cold in the house. But when, like, we've traveled and been up north places, when they run the furnaces, it gets so dry in there, I've almost got nosebleeds. Like, I can tell that I'm meant for Florida and not to be in a super dry climate. Amy said it's great for her hair, so I think that's good for women's hair, but not for my comfort.
Yeah, we don't want static electricity when we're dealing with a high oxygenated environment.
That would be really bad potentially.
It is.
Oh my
goodness. Do we have? Let's see.
Really. Cellular had the fire suppression system and everything. I figured this was going to be under exact scrutiny. That's pretty impressive, all the details that go into this.
It's quite a bit of stuff involved. So as we continue our little education
today we're going to explore static electricity. Imagine you rub a balloon on your hair and then watch it stick to a wall. Or you shuffle your feet on a carpet and feel a little zap when you touch a doorknob. That's static electricity. Static electricity happens when electric charges build up on the surface of objects. This buildup can occur when two different materials come into contact and then separate. For example, when you rub a balloon on your hair, electrons, which are tiny particles with a negative charge, move from your hair to the balloon. Your hair loses some electrons and gets a positive charge, while the balloon gains electrons and gets a negative charge. These opposite charges attract, and that's why the balloon sticks to the wall or makes your hair stand up. The wall or your hair has a different charge, and opposite charges pull towards each other, just like the north and south poles of magnets. But what happens when you touch something like a metal doorknob after walking on a carpet? As you walk, your shoes rub against the carpet, and your body collects extra electrons. These electrons give your body a slight negative charge. Metal is a good conductor of electricity, so when you touch the doorknob, the extra electrons jump from your hand to the metal, creating a small spark that you feel as a shock. Static electricity is not just a party trick. It has practical uses too. It's used in air purifiers to attract dust particles and in paint sprayers to help paint stick to walls. Even though it can be a bit shocking, static electricity is a fascinating and important part of our physical world.
Yeah, so we do everything we can to reduce static electricity, of course, in a hyperbaric environment. Our floors need to be static resistant. Again, we keep our humidity levels where they're supposed to be. And then our patients actually wear a ground strap so that if all of the things that we have done up to that point isn't enough, then we are able to discharge any static electricity buildup through that ground bracelet. And then we test that ground bracelet right before the patient goes into the chamber. So by them pressing that button and they have that wire on there, they're getting rid of any buildup, static electricity buildup. And then that once that bracelet or once the patient goes in the chamber, then that bracelet gets plugged in to a port inside the chamber, which is directly grounded to a dedicated ground stud and goes outside and to a pipe that's buried 8 feet deep.
Fascinating. I never ever considered the static electricity side of that.
Yeah.
Damn, that's amazing.
Yeah, anything to keep the patient safe, we go for it. And it's very important because in a hyperoxygenated environment, while oxygen itself is not flammable and it's not explosive, no matter what anybody has told you. It's the fuel that you provide, and it's the ignition that you provide that causes the problem. Now, once there is a fire, of course, we know that oxygen is going to make it burn exponentially faster and hotter. So that's how air conditioning helps us keep our patients safe.
That's crazy. I never.
Yeah.
I mean, I follow all the stuff you do, but I never looked at it from really the science point of view, that all the details that go into that. I thought it was a fun diving thing, and you see the stuff about it, but wow, the science behind it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. And there's been a lot of studies done on all of this that I've learned over the year. I learn something new every day with hyperbaric.
That's the goal. Learn it every day.
Yep. It's fascinating. So I had a picture I wanted to show everybody. This was an image that Jeff had sent us.
Old Jeffrey.
Yeah. He said he had made it. He had to make a fuel run, and so he couldn't resist the photo op. So there's his truck provided by Bozard Ford there at Bristol.
Yeah, that was sweet. I saw Letty and Bo hooked him up. That's awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Jeff's such an amazing guy. It's just great how the community helps everybody.
He deserves it.
Oh, every bit of it. Love him.
Yeah. You guys played baseball together, didn't you?
Yeah, we grew up together at Crookshank crew over on Masters Drive. So Jeff and I have known each other. His wife. Yeah, we all grew up together, all sports, and just good people. Like, it's great to see great things happen to great people. Jeff's at the top of the list, pastor, friend, softball coach, like really, really good guy. And Tara, I love her too. She's just a great family all around. Amazing.
Right on.
Couldn't be any better.
Yeah, it's a great place to live, where we can all get to know each other.
It's fun how it comes through, or a lot of it comes through sports, all the stuff hanging out with the kids, and you can find out that parent might be a little crazy. That's my kind of crazy. All right, we can figure out who to gel with. And I've learned you sit at a lacrosse with certain people in certain areas, because some people have big mouths and can get you into a problem. So I'm down somewhere away from everybody in case something goes wrong. But yeah.
Yeah, and then there was me. I was such a loner. I just kept my mouth shut.
That was my goal. Yelling at the referees does not help anything. Yelling at everybody does not like, y'all do that, and I'll stay over here and just watch what happens. Yeah, not a big yeller. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that was fun stuff. I say I miss it. I remember being on those hot fields and the bugs and the 6 a.m. with the wet grass and the girls. I mean, they stunk to high heaven.
It was fun, the trip ride back to the hotel afterwards. Like, oh, we're gonna put the windows down. We gotta have the air on. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, what a perfect segue, because I wanted to talk about sterility and airborne contaminants. So AC helps keep our facility clean as well. So we have dust bunnies. We can't get around it.
Yep.
Where does all that stuff come from?
Us, people bring it in. You walk in with it. So I walked in here, and whatever I touched at my house or at Dunkin' this morning or anywhere is all on you. And most things are heavier than air, so they fall. Like, we've got a golden doodle that wasn't supposed to shed, but I can look down our hall and just watch hair rolling down. So a great filtration system really helps. But to kill anything, any microbials, we use an ultraviolet light, man-made sunlight. It shines directly on the indoor coil and keeps it from turning into a science experiment. I post videos of dirty, nasty units that just look like stuff's been growing in them for years, which is kind of gross when you think, wow, that's what I'm breathing. So we do ultraviolet lights a lot. I get sunburn. I'm a dermatologist, greatest client. And when you get sunburn, the ultraviolet light kills your top layer of skin cells. And that's basically what the ultraviolet light does in your air conditioner. It scrambles the genetics of mold, fungus, bacteria, whatever it is, and actually destroys it. Your filter catches it, and then you throw it all away.
Wow.
Good to breathe clean air. It's really, really good for us. Change your filter religiously. That's one of the greatest things. We go into sometimes in a filter, like, I didn't know I had a filter. Hadn't been changed in a year or two. It's black. It's just mud. Like, ooh. Yeah. Change your filter religiously. That's going to help you a bunch.
Yeah, like that.
Oh, it's crazy what I see. Most of our YouTube stuff is about nasty drains and stuff, and you see it, and you're like, ooh. Oh. Yeah, I go home and jump in a hot shower, just like, oh, I wash my hands. I feel like a doctor sometimes. Like, man, I wear gloves and people make fun of me. I'm like, you go touch that. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'd like to stay relatively clean and healthy.
So, wait, I'm getting a. Your mic is going loud and quiet.
Mine?
That's what I'm getting.
Probably moved too much.
I don't know. Let's do 1, 2, 3 without moving.
1, 2, 3.
Now back up and do 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
All right, I'll wait and see if I get some feedback. Is it going in and out by itself, or is it positional? That's what we need to know, folks. Let us know.
Talking, turn them dead.
Yeah, we need to keep our facility nice and clean. We need to keep the dust bunnies out of the chamber. It's that fuel source that we were talking about. We don't need to add any additional fuel to the...
No igniters, no ignition.
Right. We have, obviously, we go through a lot of sheets and cotton gowns and things like that. So those shed quite a bit. That's what we find mostly in our...
I noticed you mentioned
filter.
cotton specifically. Why do you use 100% cotton?
So 100% cotton, this, when you get into other types of fabrics, they're made of things that we don't even know what's in it. And cotton is the least flammable, least fuel additive, no static electricity, things like that. When you get into polyester and things like that, and you get plastics into your fabric, that's a different ball game. It builds static electricity.
Well, never considered that part of it.
So I don't know what's going on with the mic. We'll just keep trying.
Got to make it interesting. It'd be boring otherwise.
The other thing we deal with, much like you were talking about us carrying in our own dead skin, we're dealing with a lot of patients that have vascular issues, okay? And so the first thing that goes when you have vascular issues is the micro blood vessels, and those are going to be the ones that are closest to the surface. And so when the micro blood vessels go, the tissue dies off. And so we have patients that are really shedding some serious dead skin. And so we have to.
Yeah, the healthcare field is not for me thinking about that. Oh my goodness gracious.
So we have to keep the place nice and clean. A lot of that skin, of course, is going to go airborne. The micro particles go airborne. And so our AC is going to help to keep that clean. The other stuff we keep out of the chambers. We have folks that'll we have them wear little footy slippers when they're walking around, so that they're not picking stuff up or leaving stuff behind. And then just before they go in the chamber, those slippers come off once they're up on the gurney already. And that way we're not introducing all of that stuff.
What's it take to clean one of those jokers?
Well, you have to get in there. You have to get in there with cleaning solution and cotton towels and wipe it out. And we have at the end of the chamber inside is a muffler. So the oxygen comes in under pressure and then it gets pushed out that muffler. So that muffler has to also be cleaned on a regular basis. So that's just part of it.
Maintenance, got to maintain everything, right?
Absolutely. But yeah, one of the biggest helps is those slippers to keep the feet, the stuff from the floor or whatever being introduced into the chamber. So yeah, AC for sterility and airborne contaminants, very important.
Pretty interesting how it all ties together scientifically. This is fascinating. I love it.
Yeah. We have to move a lot of air. We have to exchange this air quite a bit, because if you think about it, again, 100% inside this chamber, when we open that door, there is a rush of oxygen that's going to come into the room. We don't want that to push the room level over the flash point, which is 23.5% oxygen. So we want that air quickly exchanged and dilute that 100% pure oxygen that's coming out of the chamber.
Do you have to use like a makeup air system here where you bring outside air in?
We do not use it's drawn in naturally, not
Gotcha.
not a specific
Yeah.
from outside per se.
Some of the hospital like
It does have to be able to come from other rooms and things like that. You couldn't have this room sealed up entirely. There is when you're storing oxygen inside a building, which our oxygen is stored outside at this facility. We're building out another facility that the oxygen is actually stored inside the building, and that has different codes altogether.
I can't even imagine what that would be yet. All of our stuff is stored outside. I couldn't imagine it bringing into an indoor space. That would be interesting.
Yeah. So in that case, we have to have continuous pressure. So it's constantly drawing what's in the room and sending it outside. And it has to have some place to come from. So you have to allow venting on one side of the room to be able to. So if one of those cylinders were leaking 100% pure oxygen into the room, it's constantly being changed out. Yeah. So this is a fun, obviously, AI picture.
Love AI. Man, that's stuff it can do.
And yeah, and some of this stuff is interesting that it does. Anyway, just a fun picture demonstrating that there's a flood of oxygen that comes out. We have safety measures. If there were a cardiac event of some sort and we had to pull a patient out of a chamber suddenly and think about using an AED on them, we strip them and we drag them away from this room. We're gonna get them down in the hallway before we would do that. You don't want to use AED in 100% oxygen environment.
You keep making my mind just think like I never really thought of that happening. Like, wow, what a situation to go through right there. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about contingency planning.
We have to be prepared.
Yeah,
absolutely.
obviously.
Correct.
I didn't thought about half the things you planned. That's
Hey,
quite phenomenal.
You should come to one of my hyperbaric courses, and
I'd love to learn more about it.
We get really into some interesting stuff.
It's fascinating. I just thought it was a diving thing. I didn't realize it was an actual healthcare thing. That's amazing.
And that's funny that you say that. That's how I was. You know, I've been diving all my life, and I knew about hyperbaric chambers for dive accidents. You know, you hear about the bends, and
that means what exactly? Like I've heard the words, but I don't know what it means.
A dive accident. So you could have a couple of different dive accidents. A dive accident may just be getting type 1 or type 2 DCS, which is decompression sickness. So you either stayed down too long or came up too fast, not fast enough to get what's called an AGE, but too fast for that nitrogen to be off-gassed appropriately. So what happens is when we're at pressure underwater, we're breathing compressed air, which is 21% oxygen, and the rest is nitrogen and a little bit of other gases, not much. So they say 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. Well, under pressure, that nitrogen is getting on-gassed or brought into your tissue at a greater rate than what we normally live at. And so, and it off-gasses slower. So getting rid of it, the only way we can get rid of nitrogen is to breathe it out. We don't metabolize it like oxygen. Oxygen will burn that stuff up quick. We make extra parts just to burn that oxygen. But nitrogen, we don't use that for anything. It's just a filler gas. And so it gets trapped in tissues when we take on too much over a period of time and don't give our bodies ample time to get rid of it. So you take on all the nitrogen, you come to the surface quickly, it's trapped in your tissues, and when you're coming up, because of Boyle's law, it's expanding. And so it can pinch on nerves and things like that. And that's how you get the bends.
Okay.
And comes from some bridge builders in New York many years ago. They were down in these caissons, which is a pressurized container working on the riverbed, digging all day, and then they would come up out of these, and they would be bent over in pain, writhing in pain. And they found that when they put them back under pressure, the pain would go away. So that's how they discovered decompression sickness. And so then they started developing chambers on the surface where they could take the workers out of the caisson, put them back in a chamber, pressurize them, bring them up slowly, allowing that gas to naturally off gas. And that's how you do it.
That's a great explanation.
So you have, when you're a diver, you have what's called staged decompression, and we do safety stops and things like that. And the reason for that is to allow the body to get rid of that nitrogen. So a dive accident could be that. It could be rocketing so fast that some of those bubbles get trapped and they end up in the bloodstream, and then they get pumped into areas of the body like the brain. And a nitrogen bubble in the brain is similar to a stroke. It cuts off blood flow, and the brain tissue starts dying. And so depending on where that bubble is trapped, it determines how bad your injury will be. Yeah.
Wow.
So dive accidents. That's initially how I got into hyperbaric, but going through that process of becoming a diver medic and a hyperbaric chamber operator, I learned the clinical side of it, and I was hooked. Yeah, definitely. And
it's neat to be able to use a passion that you had and turn it into helping people. Like, that's a pretty cool setup, like a good day, something you love to do and help people at the same time.
And years ago, had you said, Mitch, you're going to be in medical, I would have been, yeah, right. I have no business being in medical.
Fascinating how God brings us places.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, that was, I don't know. That's what happens here on Chamberside Chats. We get down these rabbit holes and we dive deeper.
To me, that makes it fun. You never know what's going to happen. I like to keep it interesting.
We
It makes
dive
people watch.
deeper.
It's fun, especially nerds. I mean that of the highest magnitude. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Couple other things I wanted to touch on today, as far as the atmosphere in the chamber suite, is lighting. Lighting is important as well for safety and patient comfort. Patient safety, of course, we need to be able to. They need to see where they're going. They don't want to trip over things in the suite. But we as medical professionals need to be able to keep an eye on that patient at all times and be able to see any signs of distress in that patient. That could come from something unrelated to their treatment here. We're dealing with people that have comorbidities, so they may have other health issues that we have to keep an eye on. They may have a reaction to the oxygen. Oxygen toxicity is real. Doesn't happen very often. It's very, very rare, in fact, but oxygen can be toxic when you get too much of it. So that can cause problems. There are several signs and symptoms of oxygen toxicity leading all the way up to a seizure. That's our body's natural way of stopping this massive flow of oxygen coming in. And, people recover from it, but it's scary. So we have to look out for signs and symptoms of oxygen toxicity. Claustrophobia can be an issue for some people. And I've seen it happen where, now obviously if somebody's claustrophobic and says, I don't want to go in there, we don't force anybody to do anything. And at any point, if someone says, I want out or I don't want to go in, that's the end of the conversation. We just take them out or we don't put them in the first place. But we have had instances where people have gotten as far as being in the chamber, even multiple times, before they'll develop a claustrophobic episode. And So we need to be able to see them. So obviously we can't have it pitch dark in here, although people love to watch movies in the dark, right?
Well, my question was, do you have to stay awake or can you sleep in there?
You can take a little nap, but we're going to wake you periodically just to do a wellness check, safety check. So while yes, you can catch a little nap, it's
I want you to stay awake.
it's going to be interrupted.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if that was like a great deep sleep or if that really affected it at all.
I've dozed off in the chamber many times, and it is lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're
yeah, just most comfortable in there. You got no cell phone in there. It's
peace and quiet.
Got that white noise going on, the rush of the oxygen coming in, and it makes you feel better. But a lot of most folks will be watching a movie or a TV show, TV series, or something like that we put up on their screens for them. That helps pass the time for them. They are in there, like we talked about, for almost 2 hours at times.
What's a typical schedule? Like, how often do you do that? Once a month, once a week, once a day?
Well, depends on what you're treating for. So some conditions require daily for several weeks even. That's going to be like a chronic bone infection or severe diabetic foot ulcer or radiation cystitis, osteoradionecrosis mandibular, any of these severe medically necessary chronic conditions, they're going to require daily treatments for an extended period of time because it's not instant. Your body doesn't just instantly recover. We're giving it a boost, and then we're giving it a boost, and we're giving it a boost, and we're building on the gains that we received.
A little bit better than the day before, a little bit better the next day.
Precisely. And it's like if you're loading a truck, all right, somebody comes over and helps you with one brick and then just walks away, and you're left to load the rest. No, we're going to stay there and help you until that truck's loaded. Where were we? Then you have some other conditions, like a dive injury, for example, would just be could be one treatment and it resolves the symptoms. It could be just a couple of treatments and it'll resolve the symptoms. You have folks who find a maintenance. I put maintenance in quotes. They call it a maintenance program, so they may come in and do a course of hyperbaric, and they get to a level where they are satisfied, and then they'll come back periodically. And those are very individualized. Those are elective treatments, so they can basically dictate their schedule. Obviously, they're going to be checked out for any contraindications to receiving hyperbaric. As long as there are none, and they understand what it is they're getting and how it may not help them, then they can elect to come, when they want to come. That could be once a week. We've had some folks that treat their Lyme disease with hyperbaric, and so what it does is it causes a die-off of the Lyme, and so then they get a period of time that they don't have all those debilitating symptoms. It doesn't cure Lyme, so that will eventually come back. And everybody's different. I've seen a maintenance program where a woman came once every single Monday morning. She had to, or she just couldn't function. Another one that would come for 2 weeks, and then we didn't see her for 6 months, kind of a thing. So in answer to your question, it varies.
So from a preventative point of view, like what would be the benefit of that? I'm relatively healthy, work out, do all the things. Like what would a maintenance plan, like what would be the benefit? I've never done it and I'm highly intrigued. Like if you come once a month, what would you expect to feel?
Right. So we walk around with issues that we're not even aware of. And mostly inflammation is the biggest problem for us. Inflammation causes all sorts of problems. It chokes off vital micro blood vessels, so our cells can be hypoxic and we don't even realize it because we've just grown to get used to how we're feeling. So you can come in and get a reduction in inflammation and instantly recognize, hey, I did not even know, that I had that compromise or that I had that ache and pain. I'm feeling so much better in this way or that way. It's not for everybody. You may come in and do a treatment or 2 or 5, and you don't necessarily feel like you got anything out of it. Things are happening in the body. They preventative we caution on because that's yours. Because what is it we're trying to prevent? Well, if we don't know that we have something, then what are we trying to prevent? There was a study that came out of Israel in 2021, and this was the most groundbreaking, fascinating study. They found that hyperbaric oxygen therapy, a course of it, I think they did, the study was on 60 treatments, extended our telomeres. Telomeres are part of the chromosome. That every time a cell divides and creates more cells, we lose some of that telomere. And when that telomere is gone, that chromosome can no longer split, and that is what is death. Okay? So they have deduced that by extending those telomeres, those cells will be able to regenerate for a longer period of time. Now, that's no guarantee that you're not going to get some kind of disease or whatever. There are no guarantees. However, the science says that this would prevent or greatly reduce late-stage diseases, maybe prolong them a little bit. So it's not a fountain of youth. It's not, you're not going to go do 60 hyperbaric treatments and live to be 150. That's not what we're trying to say. But the science is there to show you that you're going to get benefit one way or the other by doing hyperbaric. It's how dynamic it is, very individualized. How great is your compromise, and how long of a treatment did you do? Did you do enough to get over that compromise? Those kind of things. There's a lot of variables in there. So, we oftentimes people will say, well, I want to do it. Okay, well, do a course of 10 treatments, see how you feel, reevaluate, see if you got some dynamic out of it. And then you can decide at that point, is that something you want to incorporate in your healthcare regimen, that you periodically will just get your high doses of oxygen, get those stem cells mobilized, get those red blood cells increased in circulation, get your mitochondria growing and multiplying and reducing that inflammation.
It seemed like some of the football players had used it or whatnot. So that's basically just to undecompress the body, if you will, or is that an ignorant statement?
Reduce inflammation, yes. Heal, speed healing, yes, absolutely. That's what they use it for. So there's a kind of a joke that goes around that you can do leg day every day. And we know this is very effective. There's a key indicator, and I know you'd never guess what that key indicator is that I'm thinking about, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Horses and horse racing. They put horses in hyperbaric chambers to heal their legs on a regular basis. Now, I don't know if you've been around horse racing.
Watched it on TV. That's about the extent of it.
There's a lot of money in horse racing and a lot of science.
I've noticed there's a lot of money in there. People are investing in that. They're spending some dough.
There is a lot of science. So they take care of these horses like they're gold, because, well, they are.
Might even be past gold.
They are gold. Wow. So I look at that indicator, and I look at Medicare, which is our healthcare payer system in the United States, and the fact that owners spend money on those horses and Medicare spends money on hyperbaric, we know it's effective. Yeah. Now, Medicare only pays for certain things. They're not going to pay for you to come in and feel better. I promise you. They won't do that. But there are certain conditions that life or limb threatening that they will pay for. So we talked about lighting. So the lighting, we don't want to flood the place with light either. Again, your patient's comfort is very important to their what am I trying to say? Anyway, lost that one.
Their experience.
Yeah, to their compliance in their treatment. If they're not comfortable here, they're not going to want to come in for their treatment. It's as simple as that. And so if they're laying in there for 2 hours with a fluorescent light beaming in their eyes, with a glare off the top of the chamber, can't see their TV, they're just going to be miserable. And they've already got some issues that are making them uncomfortable. We don't want to add to that. So we suggest adequate lighting for the medical staff to be able to observe the patient safely, but also keep their comfort in mind. Keep your chamber in mind as well with lighting. Lights with direct UV on acrylic is not good. It will degrade the acrylic and lessen the life of that chamber. And with the compromised acrylic comes compromised safety. So you don't want to leave your chambers in an area where the sun is beaming in through the window and hitting, a portion or all of the chamber and degrading that acrylic. So that's my spiel on lighting. You want to make it look good for the patient. They don't want to come into a sterile white room and get locked in a gas chamber, right?
Yeah, when you put it that way, that sounds kind of bad. That might not be inviting.
No, sir.
A gas chamber.
Yeah,
wow.
Gas chamber. Yes. This thing goes around on Facebook once in a while, and they're like, "Tell us what you do for a living, but make it sound, bad or whatever." I forget how it goes. And so yeah,
that would be a way to make it sound bad really quickly.
Yes, I lock people in a chamber and fill it with gas.
Tell that to your kids when you're little. Like, you don't listen to me.
All right, back to oxygen. We already talked about the oxygen flush hazard, but just freshness of the environment in general. We avoid adding a lot of perfumes. First of all, perfumes in the chamber is a no-no. But even in the surrounding room, some people have allergic reactions to different scents. And so we certainly don't want to induce an allergic reaction of some sort. With dead tissue comes interesting smells as well. So we want to keep that.
Oh, man. That's a new perspective.
So, we love our patients and they're going through a lot, but periodically we'll have a wound that is pretty severe, and I'll try not to get too graphic.
God bless y'all, man. Thank God y'all do what you do.
So, it can take out an entire room at times. It's the nature of the beast, and that's why they're here. We're here to heal them of that.
Thank God for that, man.
And they appreciate that. Can be life changing, because if you can imagine having a foot that stinks up a room and trying to go out in public,
that would not be a good day.
Yeah, that's not good. So anyway, we deal with it, and our AC system helps us with that. Constantly recirculating that. We want to keep it aesthetically fresh. We don't want to cover it with Lysol sprays and this and that. One of the things that I personally and what I teach my safety directors is we use our sense of smell for a lot of reasons. Okay, we can detect if something is going on with a patient. We can detect if something is going on with a piece of equipment. If you smell something unusual like burning wires, you're going to want to investigate that. if you're constantly covering up or introducing artificial scents into your environment, you're potentially masking a hazard. All right, so
And that's pretty important in this environment to know what's happening, I'd imagine, really quickly.
yes, definitely. If you smell something that smells like it's burning, you don't want that to be covered up. We keep our floors nice and clean. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, it looks like a hospital in here. It's spotless.
Yeah.
Quite impressive.
Yes, make sure your technician, whether you're a patient or an employer of technicians, that they are constantly, there's never downtime in hyperbaric. They may not have a patient in the chamber, but there's always wiping and cleaning that can be done, logging of chamber checks and things like that.
Grandfather used to say back in the day, if you've got time to lean, you got time to clean. So let's have a broom in our hand. If one popped in, yep, I'm sweeping, 100%. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Lean on the broom.
Oh, 100%. Gotta look busy.
So, yeah, now in the home environment, people add fun things to AC units to make their house smell interesting, right? Tell me about that.
I am so not a chemical person, but people add, all kinds of stuff for the smell. And I'm like, if you're introducing all these chemicals, what's in that chemical that you're putting in your lungs? And then you get the big sigh. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I've done my share of things, but I don't want to just breathe chemicals. Everything off gases, paint, floor, literally everything. So when they put all these smell goods and all these aromatherapies, I'm like, what good is that actually doing? It smells good, but is that hurting or putting some chemicals that may react with something? So each their own, but yeah, we don't add any chemicals or air fresheners in our house. We'll burn a candle, or Amy will once in a while, but I've watched some people put in like air diffusers into the air conditioning system so that it always smells. I'm like, that makes you happy? That makes you happy. Chemicals are interesting. Talked about how the sheets were, that stuff can cause things. So we've got enough chemicals off gassing on us all the time. I like the KISS philosophy: keep it simple, silly. Clean it, replace your filter, and breathe natural air. All the chemicals that they put, I can't even explain or understand how to say half the words that I see on some of the bottles. So it's like, great, you breathe that and see what happens.
Yeah, and any of that kind of stuff you take into a chamber, now you're condensing that, you're compressing that, and so it's elevating the concentration of that. If you take, that people want to take a book in the chamber all the time, and we have to explain to them that, there are glues and bindings and things like that once compressed, it off gases and acts differently than it would at the surface. So we do not introduce any foreign materials like that into the chamber. The same with keeping the dust bunnies down. You don't know what you're squeezing out of those dust bunnies.
So you ask them like not to wear perfume or stuff when they come in?
Yeah, they need to come in El Natural. We tell them, come with what you were born. We'll give you a little bottle of water and a 100% cotton gown and a grounding bracelet, and that's it. That's all that goes in there. So.
So don't do your hair and put all the hairspray and all the makeup and everything.
Don't want to do that.
Chemically make yourself up.
That's right. A lot of the makeups are petroleum based, and certain things, the flashpoint of things change under pressure, and it's just not necessary to have that stuff. We have a long list of no-go items. We call it a no-go list. And your heavy makeups and perfumes and even some deodorants and things like that. We want you to strip all of that and focus on getting healthy. That'll be waiting for you when your treatment's over with.
Put it on when you get back to the house.
Yeah, we have nice, comfortable changing bays. You can put your makeup on afterwards. So yeah, we go as far as again, the sheets. We do our own laundry here so that we know what's been done with it. We don't send it out for someone else to do treat it however they want. We use free and clear detergent, so no sense to that. Hypoallergenic. Some people are allergic to different detergents. They'll get rashes or whatever. Those detergents can off gas in the chamber as well. So we use free and clear. I'm kind of partial to Arm & Hammer, but there are so many of them out there. Let's see.
Quite impressive under pressure how everything changes. I never really considered all of the things you have to deal with and adequately account for every single time someone goes, wow, that's like 300 things you think in your head.
Yeah.
Holy heavens.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Safety, I mean, that's just paramount.
Definitely made my head spin
Safety.
thinking about how many things you have to consider before someone actually goes in.
And there's more. But wait.
Good. Yeah, there we go. And we have another list of 3,000. That's terrific.
But that's for another video. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up here for today. I hope you've learned something out of this. Yeah, we'll get into all sorts of things. Fire suppression systems are so important. The NFPA, which is kind of our
regulating authority.
Yeah,
100%.
it's our,
what they say
our
goes.
Bible. In fact,
Yes, sir.
I keep it close by at all times.
I've got them stored in my library just in case you ever have to.
We're working on another project, and so I've been buried in the NFPA again, just making sure we've covered everything. Plus, there's some new aspects to this project that we haven't done in the past. So I'm learning.
Always learning. That's the goal.
Always learning.
A little bit better each day. 1% better.
But in the future, yeah, we'll get into the NFPA a little deeper. And I know people come to Hyperbaric videos because they want to know, is it going to help me? The reason I dive down these deep holes is so that you can advocate for yourself as well. And when you're talking with people, you'll know, does that make sense what that person is saying? Because I know the science behind it because I learned it on Chamberside Chats. So nanny boo boo.
I love it. Inform people that they can make good informed decisions based on their needs. I think this is great, helping people understand what it is so they can make a good informed decision.
Right on.
That's fantastic.
So we'll get into the all of the covered indications and the elective indications and what people around the world use hyperbaric for. I promise we'll get into all of that, but I do want to get this understanding of the physics behind it, the mechanics behind it, the safety behind it, and then we'll get into, is it going to help you? All right, Wade.
Love it, man.
Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, this was so much today that to me it was a diving thing, but it's a true healthcare solution. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's fascinating.
Absolutely. And I learned more about AC.
Keep it cold and dry, right?
Not too dry, though.
Yeah, I know. Right in that sweet spot.
And did I mention
it's like perfect right on it the whole time we've been sitting here.
And too humid creates a microbial environment.
We don't want that to happen. Then we turn
either.
into a mold science experiment, and that's a bad conversation for another day.
40 to 6.
Chamberside Chats.
We dive deeper. We dive deeper.
Chamberside Chats.
Chamberside.
Chamberside Chats.
We dive deep.